Hello everyone and welcome back to the SteemTrail Gaming News. Today is the 24th July of 2018. My name is Kralizec and I will be your host for the evening. Today we're going to take a look at three different stories. First, we're going to talk about a Commodore 64 Mini. Secondly, we're going to take a look at some rumors concerning the next gen Xbox console. And lastly, a little bit of lighter topic, we're going to take a look at an NFL player who is complaining about EA making him look fat. But let's begin with the Commodore 64, which will be coming to North America October 9th. So if you don't know what the Commodore 64 is, it is an old school console or a home computer that existed back in the 80s. Yeah, it's a really old thing. And classic consoles are a thing now thanks to Nintendo. And Commodore has decided to give out its license and recreate a classic piece of gaming and home computer history. So what we know about it for the moment is actually not much hardware-wise. We do not know what sort of hardware this is running. But we do know that it is about half size of the original, and we also do know that it comes with a retro-styled joystick, because that's apparently a thing nowadays. It also comes with 64 pre-installed games and the Commodore 64 Basic, giving you the options to learn some, well, basic programming. We also know that it has two standard USB ports and an HDMI output capable of 72 resolution at 60 Hz, supporting even a 4:3 aspect ratio, and even has a thing called the CRT filter if you want your graphics to look as crappy as they did originally. Sadly, we also know that there is no cassette or floppy drive available. You will be loading your games from FAT32 formatted USB sticks using some tools that initially should be somewhat hard because you will need to give the stick a label, copy your program on it, give it the old load, name, run command, and hopefully everything will work. But hopefully in the future we will see some either user-created loader tools or something released by Commodore itself. There's a decent number of games that are coming with this. Boulder Dash, Cybernoid 2, The Revenge, Firelord, Hawkeye, Heartland, and many others. So if you're a person who was a sucker for the Commodore system, this may be the chance to recreate your nostalgic memories. What is probably the worst right now about this piece of news is the fact that we do not know what the price is going to be on this. It could be anywhere from, I'm going to guess, $100 to $300. I don't think it will go higher than that. At least not from the stores, but scalpers. Man, scalpers, those will probably push this to about $1,000. So if you want to learn more, visit their website, thec46.com, and you will learn more. Oh, well, actually, I'm sorry, I misspelled the website. It's thec64.com. I'm sorry, I'm a dumbass. But yeah, this thing looks awesome, and while I personally haven't gamed on the Commodore system because, well, I was born later than it was created, and I started on a 28X system, it's still freaking cool. And I love the fact that they decided to support USB, that they decided to support HDMI, making the experience much more convenient. What does make me sad is that it does not support cassettes or floppies, as there is probably a good bunch of people who still have those floppies or cassettes laying around. They will be essentially forced to find this software online, even though they do own it legally, copy it onto the flash sticks, and then make it work some other way. We'll see what it actually does. And I'm also hoping that it does come to Europe eventually. One more interesting thing is, so the Commodore 64 actually comes with something that looks like a keyboard. But, because that's how the original system was. But the keyboard is non-functional. Which may sound really weird to you, but in the end, I think I understand the logic behind it. Because it's only half size, the keys would have to be immensely tiny, or they will be immensely tiny. And writing on it would be a freaking nightmare. So you will just connect your USB keyboard to this, and that's what will work. So almost everybody has a USB keyboard laying around. I don't think this will be a big problem. But we'll see, and once we know the price, we will surely inform you about this thing's price. Okay, moving on to the second subject of today, that is some rumors about Microsoft next-gen console, codenamed Scarlet. And it seems, well, from the rumors, that Microsoft is actually developing two different versions of this. One that is your regular codename Scarlet, which will just be your regular next-gen console with more powerful hardware, more storage, etc, etc, etc. But then it seems we're going to be getting a second version of this, which has so far been referred to as Scarlet Cloud. And if you know anything about the computer industry, the cloud tells you everything. This should be sort of a bare bones console, which would be using the cloud-based streaming service that Microsoft is offering or will be offering. And essentially the hardware will be there only to store the local data and to make the game run a bit smoother through the streaming service. And I gotta say, I think this is a good idea, at least from the point of view of Microsoft. I don't think it's that great of an idea for consumers, but when it comes to Microsoft, I think they will be trying to push this as hard as they will be capable of. The price on this will be super low, and I'm going to assume even the Microsoft Game Pass, or whatever it's called these days, will be probably cheaper using this, because they will want to attract as many people as possible to use this cloud-based service. Because you need to remember one thing. Yes, obviously, selling full-price games is the ideal thing. But the problem with that is the income is insanely inconsistent. You know, there are games that are a huge hit, and suddenly your company makes like $1 bajillion in 1 month just because a game was a real hit. And then there's like 6-7 months where you just have average sales. And companies do really need to have a cash flow that flows constantly. And that is where service-based gaming comes into play. As if you have 1 million subscribers that you know will each month pay you $12, that is a much more steady income than just 1 month of insane revenue and then 7 months of just living off that 1 month. And it just makes the company much more stable. And even though Microsoft obviously has plenty of sources of income, that doesn't mean they don't want to be as stable of a company as possible. So I really think this will be the case. We also know that the probable date of the release of the next gen Xbox, which I'm going to just assume is going to be called the Xbox 2, is going to come in 2020, and that does feel reasonable, though I personally would love to see it earlier, even though I will not be buying this. Just the fact that it will allow hardware and thus games to progress further will be great for PC gaming, because right now we are being limited insanely by consoles, especially when it comes to AAA games, because they need to work on the hardware of let's say the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One. Just a single high-tier graphics cards on the current market has the same computing power as the whole console as a whole, probably much more. I know I talked about the numbers a few times. I don't remember them off my head. I think it's like something like 4 to 5 teraflops on the PlayStation 4 and like 12 teraflops on NVIDIA GTX 1080 Ti. That's more than double the power potentially. And I also realized that consoles are obviously much more optimized purely for running games. But that doesn't mean that if we could, then we would. And our last piece of news is somewhat hilarious, as Tyrone Crawford, who is American football player for Dallas, is complaining about the fact that in EA's latest game, he appears to be fat. So let's actually take a look at the tweet he posted. And he said, "Yo, at EA Madden NFL, we need to have a talk. This is unacceptable. Forget my stats. What's up with the photo? Who on your staff felt it okay to make my body look like Humpty Dumpty? Demand a review." And just taking a look at the picture, yeah. He looks more fat than I am. And I'm certainly not thin. He looks more like Homer Simpson. And I can understand him being somewhat pissed about his. Here's his real body shape, so you can see this is nothing. Yeah, he's thin. Yeah, completely thin. And here he just looks like a fat cow. Or Humpty Dumpty, as he puts it. But on the other hand, we also have to give EA prompts, as immediately, just a few hours, just 6 hours after his tweet, the studio made another tweet showcasing Crawford has already been fixed. So, for once, while you did screw up EA, at least you fixed it quickly this time. Please do that in the future always. If you screw up, just say, "Oh fuck," and redeem yourselves. Nobody will complain ever about you again. And with that being said, that's going to be it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's show, and if you did, please consider giving us a thumbs up here on YouTube and subscribe to the channel. If you're watching on Steam, maybe you want to give us an upvote and follow the blog. Either way, be sure to leave a comment and be sure to tune in tomorrow for more gaming news, as we are a source of daily gaming news every single day. See you guys later with more gaming content.